it began with just personal grievance, because I was a victim of phone hacking. And then I had this extraordinary piece of luck where I ran into an ex-features editor from the News of the World itself in this unlikely scenario where my car broke down. It's a long story, but anyway, he started boasting about hacking me, hacking everyone, all the dirty tricks of the News of the World, their sinister relationship with the Metropolitan Police, their relationship with the Prime Minister. And I thought it was all both fascinating and utterly repulsive. And so subsequently I went back to see him. He now runs a pub in Dover, and I dropped in for a pint and a chat and bugged him. I bugged him back. I was wearing a wire and got him talking all this stuff again, and I published it all in a British paper, The New Statesman. And that was the beginning of my sort of obsession with this and my outrage, because it's one thing for there to be a very bad newspaper in the country. But when you start to realise it's not one, it's all our tabloids who've been shockingly out of control for a long time. And when you realise how much collusion has been from the police and how much collusion has been from our lawmakers, from our government, who need these tabloids, especially the Murdoch press, to get elected, you start to think, I'm not proud of my country anymore. This is not the democracy I thought I was proud of.
What do you now want from the authorities? You've said you have no confidence in an investigation by News International and News Corp. I suspect you don't have a huge amount of confidence in the investigation by the Metropolitan Police. So what is it you now want?
Well, the old police investigation is now widely regarded as having been a farce. You know, they dragged their feet, they were in the pocket of Murdoch. There is a new police investigation, which I have to say looks a little more vigorous. They've been to see me. There is a number of criminal cases going on against people at the News of the World. It may extend to senior executives, but it won't be enough. What we need is a big public inquiry into all the methods and the whole culture of tabloid press in this country. That's one thing. And people can vote very much with their wallets. You know, they just don't have to buy these papers, especially the News of the World. And advertisers have to look themselves very hard in the mirror and say, do we want to be advertising in papers like the News of the World?
Ford was the first company to come out and say they were withdrawing their advertising.
Yeah.
All the other advertisers, and I've got an entire list I can give you, they're still dancing around the question.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking at it, we're waiting for it, we're thinking about it, we may do it. What would you urge those advertisers to do?
I think to do the right thing. I think if you look on the internet, there's been an enormous wave of goodwill towards Ford for having the courage, the spine and the conscience to do what's right. And I think those other companies would enjoy a similar wave of goodwill if they did the same.
They're just being weak at the moment, or they're waiting to see which way the wind blows?
I think that, rather like the government, they're hoping to kick the whole thing slightly into the long grass. Maybe some other big news event will come up and, you know, the pressure will die down. And that's why it's the job of unlikely people like me to keep the pressure up all the time, because it's not going to come from the government and it's not really going to come from the opposition, who have a squirming at the moment because they like to have a cosy relationship with the Murdoch press as well. So it's not going to come from politicians. It's certainly not. It's not much going to come from the police. So it's left to, as I say, a few unlikely souls like myself, who will be slaughtered for what we're doing.
Yes, you will be, won't you?
Yeah.
You're expecting the full wrath of tabloid journalism against you.
Yes.
Even with all that might imply for you.
Yes. Yes, that will happen in two forms. They'll dig out more dirt, and it's never very difficult, especially with me, and they will...
Which makes it even more interesting that you put your head above the parapet.
I feel strongly about it. You know, I feel really strongly, and I think this moment where the British public, and now an international public, has seen just how repulsive these people are, is the moment when I'm hoping more people will come out of their trench and say, this has got to stop.